Hi, everybody. It's Michelle Hill, your legacy builder at Winning Proof. And I am here today with Joe Novara, and I am going to read his bio before I say welcome to Joe. So I get everything that he is. And I've always been impressed with Joe and his ability to connect with people. So we'll get into it. Joe Novara is a speaker, coach, and author of 3 Amazon best-selling books. Joe strongly believes in the power of sales and relationship marketing. Having been a sales professional for over 25 years, selling both printing and real estate very successfully, Joe attributes most of the credit for his success to the business relationship he's developed, many of which he still has after 30 years. Joe has a great desire to educate small business owners and sales professionals on how to create and grow a referral-based business. The relationships Joe has developed through sales and networking have always been a great source of referrals and new business. Joe currently lives in Hillsborough, North Carolina, with his wife, Julie, and his 2 teenage daughters. So welcome, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Now, I just want to start off and dive into the deep end and ask about your 3 Amazon best-selling books first.
Sure, yeah. So when I first started in the speaking business, this is my 8th year. I don't know if you know a woman named Sharon Hill, but Sharon told me immediately, the first thing she said was, Joe, you have to write a book. Because I asked her to be my mentor. She's a professional speaker. And that was the first thing she told me was I had to write a book. So I began writing the first book, which is Intentional Networking. And it took me about a year to write that book. It was, I have to tell you, it was a lot more difficult. It was more difficult to write a business book than it was for me to write fictional books. I have 2 fictional novels written that I haven't gotten published. But it was a lot more difficult because this stuff had to be able to help people. Yeah. And when you're writing fiction, you can just make stuff up. Just look at Stephen King. But it was different doing it from a business perspective. Then I found just about a year ago, I published my second book, which is Grow Your Network, Grow Your Business. And that one, it's a wonderful book about, it's just multiple different ways you can prospect to grow your business. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. It gives you a bunch of different things that you can do. Now, when the pandemic started, I was watching people the business people, a lot of them are friends of both of ours. I was watching them panic. And I was watching the things they were saying. I was talking to folks on the phone, some of my coaching clients, and I was seeing a similar thread, which was fear. Yes. And a lot of people were immediately in the mindset of, I'm going to give up, was what I saw. Yeah. So I immediately sat down, and for 2 weeks, I wrote just round the clock and worked on it intensely, my 3rd book, which is Mindset Matters, Setting Goals, and Securing Sales. And it was written as a direct result to people that are in sales of some sort, to help them through those early parts of the pandemic. Now, I only mentioned the pandemic in the intro to the book. So it is an evergreen book, and because it's about mindset and sales and how important, like Tony Robbins says, that 80% of the selling process or business is mindset. The other 20% is mechanics. And I know you understand that as well.
Definitely. So yeah, I like that. I have to go on Amazon and find that the mindset book. So
yeah. And you can go to my website also. It's on you can order it through my website.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That is great. So I know a big focus for you and a secret sauce has been relationship building. So yeah. you know, when did you first realize the power of relationship building, and who was your influence?
Well, I didn't recognize it. Let's start with the influence first and then move forward. Uh, I did not realize that when I was a young kid, a child, watching my father and how he treated people, that what he was always doing was building relationships. He was, and we've talked previously in the past, if you were the head CEO sitting at the front of the boardroom in a board meeting, or if you were the guy pushing the broom down on the, in the warehouse, he treated you exactly the same, and he had the same expectations of how you would behave as a human being. And he treated everybody with the same respect, and it was at a high level. And so when he died, many years ago, my brothers and I, because we were all pretty young. I was 21 at the time, or I was just before I turned 21. We were all so surprised at how many people came from all over the country and from Italy to be at his funeral, because he had touched so many people in a way that it was so surprising to us. And I can speak for the three of us that we are all very good relationship builders as a result of that. And we're all very different people. The three, me and my two brothers, we're very different people, but we're all relationship builders because we've modeled that after my father. Now, I am also what would be considered a shy introvert. And so a shy introvert who wants to get into sales is going to struggle if they don't figure out a way to do it and figure it out quickly. And what I learned early on was that I was going to sell by relationship. So I started, I learned, I knew what it was that I wanted to sell, which initially was graphic design. I was a graphic designer, and I had, this is going back a little over 30 years ago. Had a Mac at home. It was the LC3, which had a rockin' 8 megabytes of memory on it. And
Wow.
yeah, I remember I was so proud of myself when I was able to move it up to 16 megabytes, and I was so impressed with myself. And and so I was selling graphic design services, or at that time it was called typesetting. Mm-hmm. And I would reach out to people I knew who either had a company, who were, was a manager or whatever, and I would just say, hey, if you guys need any graphic design, like any typesetting, I can do that. I have a computer at home. I have a laser printer. I have a scanner, which was very unusual for somebody to have. And I also started reaching out to people in the printing industry, other print shops that I had, people I knew from relationships, again, that I was developing. And that was really how I started selling. And, it started from the relationships I already had and went from there.
Yeah. Now, you said you and your brothers have very different personalities. So relationship building, how do the styles of relationship building differ from person to person? Because you might have one way of building a relationship with somebody, they might have another way, but yet it all works. So yes. Can you kind of describe that or define that, how it differs from person to person, yet it still works?
Well, I can tell you the differences between us, and which is, so I always like to say this. I say that my older brother is more like Tony Soprano. My younger brother is a little bit more like Fraser Crane, and I'm a combination of the both. Okay. My younger brother is very much an academic. He's super smart, one of the smartest people I know, and he's he could communicate with people very well. He communicates at a very high level, and he can talk to almost anybody. And so he's good at communicating with people, ideas. He's very good at understanding what others are saying. And then my older brother, he's just he wants to lay it all right out on the line. You are going to get the truth from him. He's going to tell you how it is, and there's going to be no sugarcoating it. But he also does it from a place from his heart. So it's never where he's putting you down. He's never comes across condescending or insulting. He's this is how it is, and I'll do whatever I can to help you. It's very direct. And he has people that will go out of their way to help him when he's in need, because he's so direct and very willing to be helpful to people. And I'm a combination of the both. So while we each have very different personalities, I'm a combination of both of those. I can communicate with almost anybody, mm-hmm. as long as they're not rude or condescending, because I just shut off. But I'm willing to be very helpful to almost anybody out there, and I'm pretty direct. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. If I don't like something, I'll let you know it. But the difference is that I'll do it it'll come across loving from me. In most cases, unless you cut me off on 40, and then or do something really crazy on the highway. But for the most part, I try to come from a place of love.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And being in an Italian family, because you're Italian, I was raised in an Italian family, and so you have a lot of noise, and you have a lot of stuff going on. And so it's just, you get used to just the dynamics between people, and talking over each other, and trying to get attention, and trying to get the floor. So
30 conversations going on at one time around the dinner table, and knowing what every single person is saying.
Yes, because the person over here is talking to the person over here. Yeah, absolutely.
But they expect the person over there to understand what they're saying, and
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you nurture the relationships that you have built?
That's a great question. So, it comes down to being intentional, Michelle. It's about it being intentional and reaching out to people, I like to say, just touching people, just letting people know you're there. So that's one of the beauties of social media. I'm going to tell you right now. Back in the old days, if there were people who would be writing notes, handwritten note cards or letters all day, every day, or they would spend a few hours a day doing that. Yes. Okay. Now, while in some cases that is a lost art, we can stay in touch with many more people in shorter period of time. So I use social media to its fullest benefit, in that I don't get caught up in the drama of it. What I do get caught up in it is the social aspect of it. I keep in touch with everybody that I can, as much as I can, people that I can either help influence their lives, I can help them in their lives, they are an influence in my life. It's just like even with you. So like when you moved away for a while, for a period of time there, every once in a blue moon, I would just send you a note and say, "Hi, Michelle, just wanted to see how you're doing. How are things going?" And you know why? Because I cared. I cared about how you were doing. So when you came back to town, I was so happy that, I immediately reached out to you and was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're back in town." And we hadn't even really we'd only talked on the phone once.
Yeah. Yes. And I appreciated that on my side, because when you move to a new state and you're by yourself, you wonder after a while, who your real friends are, or who really cares, because everybody kind of disappears,
Yeah.
sometimes. And so you feel very isolated. So that was
Right.
very meaningful to me to have somebody that, we're not like BFFs or anything,
Right.
but you took the time to reach out and say, how you doing? I'm thinking
Right.
about you. What's
Yeah,
going
but
on?
we had that one phone call, and I felt connected to you from that one phone call, and that connection was going to go on, and no matter what. I mean, unless she said, "Leave me alone, creepo," but as long as she didn't say that, we were connected.
No, I would never say that. So, but yeah, so do you think that the art, I know you said social media,
Hmm.
but do you think the art of uh, handwritten notes is obsolete? Do you think that pushes
So,
you above the
oh,
competition?
let me tell you, I think it is so important. I think it is more important now than ever before. And the reason why I say that is because not everybody, Michelle, their connection attempts are coming from a place of authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there are people that you really want to if you want to connect with somebody, the fastest, the strongest way to do that is to send a handwritten note card without a business card. I don't care. Unless because all you're doing when you send it with a business card, you just turn that into a sales piece.
Mhm.
I am looking for connection. Okay. Connection is so important. We were just talking about this the other day in the workshop that I did uh, with the Everetts. Is connection. The reason for connection is to build relationships. And then another thing that I learned from Tony Robbins is the reason for relationships is to magnify the human experience. And I believe in that so much because we each, as humans, we want our life to mean something. And we want our experiences to be great. I don't want my life to be a ho-hum life. I want to have a crazy life, a fun life, a life that's just filled with so many wonderful experiences. And the people that I bring into my life, the people that come into my life, because I don't just bring them in. Sometimes they just show up, like a tornado. But it's the people, the relationships. That's what creates the experience in our life.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And how does authenticity come into the mix? Because sometimes you are being your authentic self, yet
Yeah.
there's just, do you find some circumstances where somebody is just, that this connection, this is just not a connection, you're speaking a different language, so to speak,
Yes.
and it's just, this isn't going to work? Do you come across that, and how do you deal with it?
So I believe that they say that 10% of the people we meet in our lives are not going to like us. 10%. And that's exactly who you're talking about. That does not mean that we behave or I'm going to speak for myself. That does not mean that I behave in any different way. Now, if I meet somebody and I think that this person is a total jerk, that doesn't mean that gives me permission to go and steal the wallet out of their car later just because I don't like the person. No, or that I don't, if I see that there's an opportunity, let's take it to a different level, less of a joke. Just because I don't like somebody, this is something where I have a disagreement with that whole know, like, and trust.
Mm.
Okay, my belief is this, Michelle. Yes, if let's say there are two people, two insurance representatives, because we're both dealing with a lot of people in the business world. So we have two insurance reps. They both sell life insurance. They both can do exactly the same thing. If there's one that I know, like, and trust, I'm probably versus one that I just know and trust, I'm probably going to refer the person that I know, like, and trust first. However, if I don't have an option, but I know somebody that I know and trust, I'm going to refer that person no matter what. Okay. If I know them and I know that I can trust them, because I understand in here that I'm not going to like everybody I meet. We're going to be different in some cases politically. We're going to be different in some cases from a religious standpoint. We're going to be different from our backgrounds. We're going to be different culturally. There are things that sometimes stack up that we just, for some reason, we just don't connect. And then sometimes it's just chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
It's chemical. For whatever reason, the synapses in my brain are not going to connect with the synapses in your brain, and we're just not going to connect. And that's all there is to it. That doesn't mean you're not a good person. It doesn't mean that I can't trust you. It means that we're just not going to connect. And I'm still going to behave the same exact way towards you. I just don't like you.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. The
But
longer you live, too.
a lot of people don't get that, Michelle. They think because their connection isn't there, that now that it gives them permission to behave differently towards that person than they would behave with other people. And it does not give you permission to do that, because then you're not being authentic.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're only going to be nice to people you like, then that means that you're not really a nice person.
Yeah. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's finding, and I always try to, with my clients too, I try to find the common threads, you know, and I do my research before I talk to somebody for the first time to see, can I find their hobbies? Can I find what they like or don't like? Can I look at their LinkedIn profile to see what they're about? And then I can mention that in the course of conversation.
Yeah.
And it really does help connect you to people, you know,
Absolutely.
connect you, yeah, on a deeper level. So yeah. So if you could give people your best tip for relationship building, and I know that is a tall order because you've written books about it, but maybe your top one or two things that, you know, tips that you would give somebody that really need to develop relationship building.
So my number one tip is this in relationship building, is to go into that relationship with the mindset of, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that, when we have that mindset of what, and like if you think of like BNI, I don't know if you've ever heard of BNI. It's the BNI organization. It's the whole giver's gain mentality. And I do believe that givers gain. However, even take out that expectation of the gain, just giver. If you can go into every relationship with that I am, what can I do for you? Now that does not mean that we behave as a doormat. Yeah. We don't let people take advantage of us. But if you can go into it with that mindset first, that will always put you. It makes the relationship start off. I like to say it puts lifeblood into a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And people can tell when you're authentic with that too, rather than I'm being nice to you because I eventually want to sell you something. You know, and we've all had that. And with social media too, people will act like they're your best friend, and then you'll set up a call, and then it's just $1,000 a month for what? What are you, what? So, you know, it's discerning those things too, but being authentic and, like you said, giving, you know, being a giver.
And at the end of the day, Michelle, we do have to, you know, you and I both have businesses. We have to, at some point, we have to charge money for the services that we provide. However, that if things don't work out, that doesn't mean that we can't still develop a relationship with that person. You know, and that's all there is to it. I mean, I have a lot of wonderful relationships from people I've developed through the business community, that some of them we've never ever done business together. but we have lifelong friendships or relationships that we've developed as a result.
Yes, because some people will totally diss you if
Hmm.
you can't give them what they're
Right.
after. So they'll just like, okay, well, you were a waste of time. You
Yeah.
know, and they kind of have that attitude. So, I love what you're saying about just have that attitude. And there's so many people in this region, in this Raleigh, Durham region, that
Yes.
are like that with all these entrepreneurial groups and everything. You have such a high percentage of people who are they just want to add value and give. And then I know for me, it's been a really good example and a really good constant reminder to that's how we need to run our businesses all the time and our lives too.
And one of the people that I give credit to for so much that he has done over the past several years that I've gotten to know him is, I don't know if, I'm guessing you know him, is Stephen David Elliott. Uh, he developed the Rockstar Connect uh, business, and he has just created so many relationships in our community, thousands of relationships. Here is a man that has built his business on bringing people together. I'm just so impressed by what he has done. And, yeah, it's the Rockstar Connect is what he has created, and with his wife and Sarah. And it's just an amazing concept. And I'm so highly respected. I admire it so much what they've done. Because I'm so big on relationship and connecting. I like to say that I'm also a professional connector. I love connecting people.
Yeah, I love doing that too. I love connecting high quality people with high quality people, and
Yeah,
just to see
right.
the results of what happens as as a result of just, oh, we're here. Here's an introductory email. Here, just take it from here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and it's interesting because there was somebody I was very disappointed. There was somebody that I thought was at a higher level that I introduced recently, and to somebody else, and it didn't work out. And I found out that this person does not behave at as high a level as he led on to believe.
yeah.
And it's interesting that sometimes that will happen.
Hmm.
Sometimes that will happen, and so and so I want to tell folks what you do when that happens, because it will happen.
Yeah.
Is you just apologize. You own up to it and you apologize. Your credibility is not shot forever. There will be situations where they will, an introduction won't work out. That doesn't mean, it's kind of like, you get back on the bike and you ride again. At 52 years old, if I fall off my bicycle, I'm not going to say, well, I'm never getting on a bike again. Right? Just like we did when
Exactly.
we were 6. And so we still fall down on our bikes occasionally, and occasionally an introduction will not work out, even if it's somebody you thought was at that higher level.
Hmm.
Live and learn.
No, that's so true. And to me, my goal when somebody introduces somebody to me, that's a reflection. I want to make that person look like a rock star.
Right.
Or like, so the person comes back to them and says, oh my gosh, thank you for connecting me with Michelle.
Yeah,
She's great, or
exactly.
she really helped me. That I want to make that person look like a rock star for referring me. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that just happened for me. Somebody had made an introduction for me for speaking to a financial company, and by the end, I mean, the conversation could not have gone better between the other gentleman and myself, where I'm going to be able to make introductions to him. Here I am.
Yeah.
The introduction was for me to talk to him about me coming and speaking for his organization. But my mindset was, I was listening, how can I bring value to them? What can I do, not just as a speaker and a coach, but what can I bring value that would help even build their business? And so I'm able to bring introductions. I will have introductions for them now as well.
Yeah, that's really exciting. It's an exciting world to
It
be
is.
a go-giver.
Yes. Oh, so you're a Bob Berg fan, aren't you?
I have it somewhere in my library. I have many levels here, 2 or 3, 4 levels. So yeah, I have that somewhere in my
Oh, I
library.
love Bob Berg. Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of his, and he's a very nice man. I have all his books.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's the usual ones that I refer to people constantly. But so just before we end, tell me, I mean, you're married, you have 2 young kids. Let's turn it to personal and just
sure.
how long have you been married? What can you
Well,
tell me about your kids?
so Julie is we have been married for just about a year. And yes, and no, I do. My teenage daughters are not from us.
That's a medical impossibility.
Correct, correct, yes. But I do have 2 teenage daughters. They are 16 and 18, and yes, and they are everything teenage girls are supposed to be. And,
Yes.
yeah, and and it's just I live in Hillsborough, North Carolina. I've been here in Hillsborough itself for about 6 years. But I've been in North Carolina for 13 years. I moved here from Brooklyn, New York, and yeah, and I love Brooklyn. I love everything about it, but it's just way too crowded for me. I need space. I need green. I need to see water, and I would spend a lot of time. I don't know how well you know New York City at all, but I would spend a lot of time in a park called Prospect Park. I would go there about 4 times a week to go running, and I would bring my kids there all the time, and it was just such a beautiful park, and it was a great place. It was my escape when I lived in the city,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah.
I wanted that 24/7.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I was born and raised in, I lived 54 years in Southern California.
Oh, okay.
So, born in LA and raised in Orange County.
There
So,
you go.
you
So
know,
you get it.
I'm I'm so thankful to be here because this state does offer so much. You get the green lush, you get the changing
Yeah.
leaves, you get the seasons. They've blended a little bit in the last couple of years, but typically you get the seasons. It's going to be really cold and just the water. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful states I have ever been in. So I get it.
We're going to the mountains this weekend. So there you go. We'll go
Oh,
to Asheville.
oh, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
love Asheville.
I have not been there. I've been through there on my trek from when I moved from California to here, but I've never been there. But it's on my list to just
Yeah,
go in the
it's
fall.
a must. It's an absolute
Okay.
must. You'll have
Okay.
fun.
Well, how can people get in touch with you and tell people if you have any
Sure.
upcoming? I know you just had an event, but tell people how they can connect with you, and then how if you have any upcoming events, how they can connect with you for that too.
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me is probably I would say first through my website, it's very simple. It's my name.com. So that's spelled JoeNovara.com, JoeNovara.com. That's the fastest and easiest way because all of my contact info is on there. However, I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I'm very active on Facebook as well. And as long as you don't come across as a sociopath or psychopath, I pretty much accept almost everybody to Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, and and it's I share a combination of personal stuff and a combination of business stuff on my Facebook page. And as far as the events are concerned, on my website, I usually put on my own event every month. Okay, so and they're usually pretty big events, and I have an events page on my Facebook page that will always have a link for you to register. And I was actually, just before this call, I was working on the one for next month for December, and
Okay.
yeah,
Can
and
you
so
tell us what it's going to be?
So that one will not be a speaking engagement. I will be speaking maybe for about 10 minutes at the most. It's actually, it goes back to my heart, which is networking. So it's called, and I don't know if you know a woman named Michelle Goffinger.
Yes, I do. I've talked to Michelle.
Yeah, so she's the owner of Triangle Social Media.
Yep.
So we are partnering up for this one, and it's called Joe and Michelle's End of 2020 Virtual Networking Bash, and it's going to be just a great big networking event with breakout sessions, and there'll be some music, and there'll be learning, and yeah, I mean it's going to be a fantastic event. Hands down, going to be a great event. It'll be on December 15th from 11 to 2 p.m.
Okay. And if people go to your website, they can, or your Facebook page, they can register for it.
Yeah, I'll have it live, let's say within the next hour to register.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking time out. I know you're a busy man, so I just wanted to thank you for being here today and being part of the Winning Proof Unscripted episode.
Oh, I loved it. This was awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
Very, very good. I'm really thankful. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm Michelle Hill, your legacy builder at Winning Proof, and you can find me at my website, winningproof.com. Or you can email me at winningproof@gmail.com. Or if you want to call me, it's 714-797-3731. And that is also on my website. You can find all that there. And I am also on Facebook, and I do combine just like Joe does. You know, I have a what do you call it, a business page, a Facebook business page. I don't do much with that. I just post all my business or personal on my personal page. And I'm on LinkedIn. I have worked LinkedIn furiously. And so I'm on there. And I've just, thank everybody for watching this episode. And until next time, thank you for watching another episode of Winning Proof Unscripted.
Bye, everybody.